it, you have to turn on.
Yeah, I think we're all ready.
Good. All right, 7 o'clock, we will call community order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our roll call for this evening. Ms. Hutchinson?
Here.
Mr. Bray? Here. Mrs. Brimmer?
Here.
Mr. Conley? Here. Ms. Hendricks is excused tonight. Mr. Hall? Here. Mr. Hopkins? Here. Mr. Laws? Present. Mr. Laws is here. City clerk, city manager here. Carmen Valentini, our planner. All right, if we could take a look at our minutes from our regular meeting of March 17. And, sorry, last March 7th. And a motion to approve those minutes. Motion to approve them.
Support.
Anybody see anything on there we need to address? All in favor of approval, aye. All opposed, no. Motion carried, thank you. And then our agenda for this evening, the motion to approve that. So second. Any changes, additions, questions?
Mr. Owens, I do have some minor changes.
Okay.
Do you want to address them right now
Sure.
or when they come up?
Yep.
Under scheduled public hearings, the property zoned as ag res. At the time that the public notice went out, that was correct. However, the city council has hence approved the change to R3. So that is an R3 property at this point. I had you write down the things we were talking about, so.
Oh, yes, for the, well, we can, I think those, since it's a separate resolution, we can just address that when we get to that public hearing.
Okay.
Anything else other than that one? So everybody got that, it's R3, it wasn't the other ones, so, okay. All right, so we have motion and support for approving the agenda. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Public comments. If you'd like to address us tonight, this is your golden 4 minutes.
Great. Bob Truesdale, 141 South Main Street. I believe all of you had a former letter from me dated March 6 that explained what we were attempting to do. But tonight, just to take it a little further, I'd like to talk about Liberty Lodge, a Veterans at Home, a plan we have for our former Amish furniture store. And I realized in the very first conversation with the city manager that our dream was not going to be a shoe-in. I was told at that time, even though it was not his decision to make, he was reasonably certain that none of you would be interested in anything on our property with the exception of a retail store. Our position tonight is that the zoning for the B2 district allows, with your permission, boarding house, a term I personally don't like because I see it, but it's from the last century, but that's just my thoughts. And you that already have our business cards, you'll note that there's 5 stars on there, and I think we're going to be a cut above a boarding house. It also aligns with the master plan for the downtown district, and that plan is promote the single-family character of Cedar Springs while providing a broad mix of housing types downtown to accommodate people with varied incomes and in different stages of life. And I've invited many of you to come and see what we plan to do. I'd like to run it before you, and that invitation still holds. I have provided Michael with the enclosed solution to your concerns on parking. The president of WEFA, and I have a copy here, and I just gave one to Michael, has granted us, or granted any residents, that we should have parking on their paved parking lot. The problem at this time, and I'm sure it's just a gross misunderstanding between him and myself, is that the site plan. Now, we spent several $100s 8 years ago, and I'd like to think that possibly you have within your power to waive that site plan. I did spend some time with the village manager of Sparta today, and he concurs with our city manager that this is quite often the case, but in their particular situation, they seem to be a little more lenient. He did say that within the recent past, that they had a lady that wanted to set up a daycare center, a daycare center, and she was going to do that in what had been a hardware store. And their planning commission waived the fact that she would have to have a master plan. Now, I've got a quotation from a firm in the city that's telling me that they would have to resurvey the property, even though it was done 8 years ago, and the stakes are all in place, and draw a master plan in the amount of 4,000 plus. And then you realize, of course, that Carmine will have to review that. The last time around, 8 years ago, that amounted to more than $900. Really, my position is that nothing has changed on the site. What you see there and have seen for the last 8 years will remain the very same thing. It's a lot of money to spend. I guess I'd rather spend it on the veterans, to tell you the truth. So, you know, I'm humbly at your disposal. I'm tired of fighting, arguing, whatever you want to say. And you know, if you don't find it feasible or this type of thing, we're in a position to go back into retail Amish furniture. But I moved away from that 2 years ago, being that I'll be 84 this month, and I have no desire to get into the furniture business. That'll be the third time around, Jerry. The third time coming out of retirement. So there you have it, folks. It's you know, it's an existing building. We're not. It's not like we're adding any facades on there or changing the roof line or anything of that sort. So I thank you for any consideration. We do have an architect that is in the process of starting that site review, and if that's the route we have to go, I guess we have to spend that kind of money. But I thank you for your consideration, and God bless.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to comment?
Good evening, Kurt Nady, CVDP. As you can see, the library is nearing completion, along with other parts and pieces to it. The library, if you don't know, is slated, the existing library, to close down the last week of April, first week of May, so they can make their move into the new facility, and then they'll be opening up on the 8th of May for about 4 or 5 days, get the dust out, settled down out of things before we have the grand opening for the library on the 13th of May. Seems like it's been a long time coming, but it seems like it's been an awful short time coming too here the last 3 to 4 years for us. So bottom line is, from our side, we want to thank the Planning Commission for your help and assistance and guidance on things as we moved ahead with this facility, and we're looking forward to the amphitheater and other projects coming in right behind us here. This Saturday, we have a gala, I guess is what they're calling it. We've got 275 people coming to that baby on Saturday night, so you talk about rubbing elbows, that's going to be a perfect chance for us. So it's coming along really, really well. But it's nice to see. The saddest part about the whole thing is that some of the people that had the dreams and had established this how many years ago here are not on this earth anymore with us. And one of the driving forces is to make sure that we accomplish those dreams before more of us are gone and don't see the dream happen here. But anyways, I want to thank you guys. By the way, the designs by Andrus Architect and by Dwayne McIntyre, the Spearhead, that baby takes second seat to nobody. It's drop dead gorgeous, guys. So if you haven't seen it, we look forward to having you stop by and eyeballing that baby over. So once again, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to our scheduled public hearings. So, need a motion to open our public hearing on the special land use for the Brook Retirement Facility on Solon Road.
Make that motion.
Second. All in favor of opening that public hearing, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay. Mr. Amatini, why don't you, this is kind of a little bit of a continuation from our meeting last month, so just bring us up to speed on where we are.
Okay, just as, tonight is just the special land use. As you may recall at the last meeting, you approved the site plan conditioned upon special land use review and conditioned upon the rezoning through the city council because it was formerly in Solon Township and is part of the 425 agreement with them. So you did approve all of that, and then the council approved the rezoning. So the last step now is to approve the special land use review. I apologize for you getting it late. I thought I'd sent it a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't. And but it's really straightforward. And there's only the general criteria that they have to meet, which include, and your letter should be dated April 1st, includes, compliance with the master plan and the intent of the zoning ordinance. And as we talked about at the last meeting, this site is surrounded by either there's a lot of vacant land around it, but you're in close proximity to single-family residences, and they have designed this with a residential flavor and character to it, even though it's bigger than a single-family home. And they've used residential building materials on the site too. So from a use point of view, it does fit in nicely. It'll provide a nice transition to the more intense uses that we see on 17 Mile and whatever mixture of uses, office and the like that will take place, a little bit farther to the west. So it really does meet the, the special land use requirements. So we are recommending approval of the special land use conditioned upon site plan review, which you already approved. So.
For those of you that, because this wasn't in our original packet, but in your packet on your computer tonight, it's on page 16. Is Mr. Amatini's letter, if you want to look at that. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Amatini on the special land use?
And for anyone, I know, Clinton, you said you weren't, sick, you weren't at the last meeting. If you have any more detailed questions about it, because we spent quite a bit of time on it. And so if you have any questions, about even the site, I'll be happy to go into it. Or anyone else?
All right. Any comments from the public on this special land use? Yes, sir.
You're from Brook?
I'm with Karen Construction.
Okay, Karen. There was an additional, 11 parking places they were going to put in on which would be the north end of the parking lot. Were they still going to install those, or were they going to?
This is Katie.
This was an overflow.
Pardon me?
It was an overflow for additional parking in the future, and they were concerned whether they were going to install it or not. If you have your site plan, I can show you.
They were the ones facing the road. They were close.
Okay.
There was a whole pin of 11 spaces.
They were in the north east corner of that property.
Mr. Chairman, we question whether there was a need for those, because there's so
Right.
much, they're so far over the parking calculations, they could even land bank them if they wanted and then put them in later if they needed them. With all the garages on this site and the parking spaces, I'd be surprised if they didn't use those.
Yeah, they were just whether they were gonna install them or not, that was my
Yeah.
question. No problem.
Hi, I'm Katie from Side Up Group. I believe they planned on keeping them because they do have 4 spaces for future additions,
Okay.
but, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure because they're on the drawing back now, so I would assume so.
I was curious because there's a lot of discussion back and forth, and I don't recall in the end if they did opt to install them. I was more curious than anything. Thank you. I couldn't remember, so I just wanted to get my online clarification. Thank you.
Any public comment on this? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing? So moved. Support? Second. Right, all in favor of closing that public hearing, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no. Thank you. All right, we have another public hearing tonight for the adoption of our proposed master plan. Is there a motion to open that public hearing? So moved.
Second.
Motion support on that. All in favor of opening the public hearing, aye? Opposed, no. Thank you. All right, so, Mr. Womack, if you could, and if you have in front of you, there's a printed page here that's dated, it says resolution number 2017-XX, and that's at the top. Mr. Womack has some proposed, a change that we might need to make on that, so if you could just share with us kind of the rationale behind that.
Sure, thank you. So, under the Zoning Enabling Act, it seems as though the Planning Commission is the natural body that would adopt the master plan. But in my research on this issue, in 2010, this master plan was last adopted, it appears that this body, the Planning Commission, adopted a resolution that recommended to the City Council for approval and adoption of the master plan. It's just a little odd because in that circumstance, it would be normal under parliamentary rules to make a motion to that effect and not a resolution to that effect. So I don't know if the wording just happened to be wrong at that time, and maybe this body has more background knowledge in regards to how it was done in 2010, because for the City Council to make that adoption, the City Council itself would have had to make a resolution at some point telling the world that they want to make that adoption themselves. And I'm not aware of any move by the City Council to do that. So it's my recommendation, based on how the Zoning Enabling Act reads, to change this resolution to, instead of recommending to the City Council, that you simply move to adopt the city master plan yourselves. So, Mr. Owen, you and I discussed the actual language, and I think you've got it written down there. But that's the rationale behind why we do it.
So if we did that, then what we do is just change the heading of the resolution to a resolution to approve the city's master plan. And then there, at the bottom of the page where it says, now therefore be it resolved, again, the same kind of language that the Planning Commission adopts the city's master plan. So we can have further discussion on that, but that would just so you get that wording out there. Okay. Either of you have any other input on this master plan? And you had, what was the picture that we needed to still add?
Yeah, and just so you know, there, at this point in time, and even in the future, if we want to make non-substantive changes like pictures and things like that, or add information, minor things like that, we can do that without having to go back through the whole review process. So yeah, we did get the picture for the library and didn't get enough time to make the change, but in the final version, we'll make sure that the new pictures in there. Another thing I want to do too is on page 2, under accomplishments, since 2010, we'll add the construction of the library to that list also, since it's completed now. Maybe we'll add that in too. Yeah, and like I said, if we find over time, somebody says, hey, we've been looking at this area of the master plan, and, you don't think that picture is appropriate, or, some, like I said, non-substantive thing, we can make those changes at any point in time. It's not a big deal.
The city would put the library on the map too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then what was the error from the Kent County Road Commission, pages 11, 12, that we were looking at?
That's been resolved at this point.
Okay.
We resolved that before today's meeting. So it's addressed appropriately on the map, I guess.
Good. Okay. Sir?
I was looking at the list here of our accomplishments. I remember having the PUD rezoned to the civic center named, gone to council and approved, but I could not find where the PUD that we did for the whole city had gone to the city council and got approved. So I don't know if we want to check into that to make sure that that happened and is in our minutes for the city council before we put that in there or not. So just something in the last little while I was looking at, and I'm like, wow, I know we've talked about it a lot and whatever, but I could not find anything in the stuff I looked at that had the city council's voting on it and whatever. So just,
Rebecca, is that something you could look up for us to see?
I might have just overlooked it, which is a possibility. But
The whole town, I guess, the
Downtown.
yeah, I remember, I could find the one on the part for the library and for that to happen, but I couldn't find the one for the big one.
The one of the B2 area.
Right. So like I say, it could have been something I just couldn't find, but.
We'll look into it and bring it back to the spot.
I was thinking the council did vote on that. Jerry, do you remember?
no, I didn't, I think, I remember there was some discussion on it about the ceiling heights and,
Right, I found that
knee
stuff.
walls around the parking lot.
I thought we'd voted that in just before we started working on the Heart Cedar Springs PUD.
I don't remember, I'll be honest on that.
Okay, well, Rebecca will look at those.
No, planning commission recommended it.
Right, I remember
Remember
that.
that, yeah.
Right, exactly.
So are there any public comments on our proposed master plan? Kind of spitting this one up, bringing it up to speed.
On page 13, we had talked about, right below the White Pine Trail, enhance the link on other non-motorized and the North Country Trail. We're working on that, and I don't see that in the new one. We had talked about that, and then Skinner Field.
I thought we gave it a chance.
No, I don't see it in there in the one, at least the one that I have. And then Skinner Field, that is, Fred, that got changed on Skinner Field.
So the one you're questioning is,
It would be up on, under issues and opportunities. And the second scroll down would be the White Pine Trail. Continues to enhance and link the other non-motorized facilities with the North Country Trail, or something to that.
Or would you create its own little bullet?
Yeah. And then Morley Park. Morley Park is also a site for some of these. I'm just going through my notes on my scribbles that I had made on the office.
well, I can make a change for the bullet on page and the other one under,
Yeah.
I'll make that too.
You had a thing in there where we struck a line out for the city to relocate its offices nearby, that'd be on page 14 on public services. Fourth line down, and it goes, the new library and the the long-range plan should be that the city to relocate its offices nearby. I didn't know, for some reason I had that struck out, the city to relocate its offices nearby.
I don't remember the discussion on it, but if that's the case, if there's no consideration of, I mean, it's long range, if there was no consideration, I thought that was the original talk, was that eventually the city hall would be located near the rest of the civic center, but
It was. When the first properties were donated to the city, the library was to stand alone, but then the other municipal buildings were to be on that same spot.
so is that no longer the case, I guess is the question?
I don't know.
That's not in the site plan area.
That was part of the agreement.
I can just take that out, I mean, for now, I mean, if it comes up again, we can always change it.
On this, on the paper.
Page 14 on the cultural heritage, all the different events that we talked about, the only thing that's in there is Red Cloud Festival.
Oh, you guys are in a different one.
Table Renaissance.
Well, we got Renaissance, we've got United, we've got
I remember marking it.
concerts in the park.
That, just, Morley Park is alive and the entertainment once in a while in the summer. So that's in there, but, the Renaissance Fair,
Movie in the parks,
movies in the park, I'm not sure.
I'll double check on that. Like I said, those are informational type things anyways.
Yeah.
They don't really directly relate to the land use, so we can make changes at any point in time. And so I remember us talking about that.
We changed the one right below any natural features. But just some odds and ends that might have been overlooked.
and the museum car show should be in there too.
Well, we also have to be careful too. I mean, it's okay to put a few big ones in there, but I mean, they really don't have anything to do with land use. It's more of an informational type of thing. It's more to show people that there's a lot of things going on, in the city as opposed to including everything in there.
Right, well, I just wanted to make it look like that we got more than one thing going on.
Okay, well, we'll add some more of these in there. I thought we could, maybe I'll go look at my notes too.
Good.
The movies in the park were under the community facilities. We did that.
What's the name?
Any public comments?
Rose Powell, Cedar Springs, Michigan. I didn't get a chance to look at the parks issues, but with our new Legacy Park, it would be nice to know that it's a wetland conservancy, or it's a wetland area anyway for future references if we go for DNR grants and so forth, that is actually a part of our city, not just a park. It's
That was one of the land use?
sanctuary or something. Anyway, it's not developable, and it's a sanctuary, really.
Just taxable.
It is not currently taxed.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Is that the name of it now?
Yes.
It's going to be
Yes.
called Legacy Park?
Yes.
We just named it a month ago.
Oh, that's moving on.
Yeah,
It's blue now, Public Institute. It's following the same thing as park. So it's under the, it's shaded blue, so it would be in the park system.
kind of refit the levels. There's a lot going on now, look at all those symbols and then.
Maybe just on the land use map, it is blue there.
Well, the community facility we're looking at, there's a label for library, there's a symbol for library, there's one for the fire hall, and there's also one for the park, so there's symbols. So we can get our symbols smaller or something like that.
You're describing the land of the market.
Yeah, those symbols will just swap, hopefully, their location.
All becomes clustered in.
Any other comments? Right, so, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no? Okay. All right, so moving to our new business, we need a motion to approve the special land use Ford Brook Retirement Facility.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion on that? Anything that anybody's unclear of? No? All right, so we have a motion and support to approve that special land use. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, adoption of the master plan. Let me, since I jotted this down, I will make the motion for us to adopt this resolution with the changes of wording that I mentioned earlier. So the title would be a resolution to approve the city's master plan. And then the paragraph that says, now therefore be resolved that the planning commission will strike recommends adoption of, and we'll just say adopts, that the planning commission adopts the city's master plan, and then strike to the city council as presented.
Second.
All right, any other discussion on that resolution? Okay. So, we're going to do a roll call vote on the resolution. Ms. Atchison? Mr. Bray? Yes. Mrs. Bremer?
Yes.
Mr. Conley?
Yes.
And Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mr. Laws?
Yes.
Mr. Owens votes yes. Resolution passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So I'll pass these changes on over to folks at Alsop Planning, and they'll make the changes, and we'll email everyone a copy of the plan. If you have any concerns that the changes weren't, exactly worded the right way or whatever, just let me know, because it's easy enough to make those changes and get it, the way you want. But I've got pretty good notes, so see if we can hit the mark on it.
Do we email you directly, or do we go through the manager, or what?
Yeah, probably email me, and then I'll pass it along.
Right, another new item of business we have is a proposed new agenda item on our monthly agenda, and so, Mr. Wommack, if you could talk about where we want to put that in our agenda and
Yeah.
rationale.
I'll probably put it at the top. The rationale behind this, as Mr. Laws and Ms. Bremer, I know we all attended the basics of planning and zoning seminar, and this is one of the things that they stress that many communities do. And we haven't had any language like this that I could see. Conflicts of interest and ex parte communication. Basically, it's asking any of the planning commission members whether they've had discussions regarding any of the interests or applicants with anything in front of the planning commission. And so this language is lifted directly from their model best practices. Now, where you see A, B, and C listed there, that's not going to be listed on a daily, on the monthly agenda. I'll probably put something, conflicts of interest and ex parte communication inquiry, but A, B, and C are what I guess I would like each planning commission member to think of when we're discussing that, that item. And of course, it kind of gets murky when you get into the depths of parliamentary procedure about declaring conflict of interest and deciding to abstain yourself and concluding whether you're able to impartially consider a request, etc. And we can get those specific rules if you guys want me to. But at this point, I think it's at least appropriate to declare whether you have a conflict of interest or have had ex parte communication.
And where do you propose to put this on the agenda? Like around the approval of the agenda? Or?
Yeah, it's going to be at the beginning somewhere. I guess somewhere before public comments, either after approval of the agenda or before it.
Okay.
I'm open to suggestions, but I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, I think it's a good spot.
I have one question on the ex parte communications.
Yep.
Is there a stop and a start to when that exists, or is it anything, anytime, anywhere?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, in a small community, everybody knows everybody, everybody talks to everybody. I think the point is we don't want this body to be inappropriately influenced or swayed by communications outside of the chamber. Anything that can be said to one person should be said to the whole group and should, matter.
So it starts when somebody brings an application for something.
Well, I think it's appropriate for any applicant that's before this body for any kind of decision.
Right, because I mean, it starts when they're an actual applicant.
Sure.
Just like if I wasn't on the planning commission, it doesn't start until I'm a member, or it ends when I'm not a member. Is there a stop and a start to ex parte communication? It starts with their application, it stops when they've got an approval or a non-approval, or what?
I guess I would say I won't encourage somebody to do inappropriate communications and then submit their application. It's one of those things where you're going to have to police yourselves to a certain extent.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So when do I start policing myself? When the application is made, and then I can worry about it all the way until the application is either approved or denied, or what?
Maybe I can help with that. Generally, it's when, if you know there's an application forthcoming for a specific request, the point is you do your best not to, and you can't always do it, but you do your best not to talk to the applicant or folks about that project that's coming up or has been applied for. And the reason you put something like this on the agenda is to disclose the content of your conversation, because there are going to be times where no matter what you do, you can't avoid it. So what you do, and I teach this in the courses, what you do is where it's on the agenda, where it's being proposed to be on the agenda, you say, look, Mr. Chairman, I need to disclose that I had a conversation with a prospective applicant, somebody who's coming in to apply for something, or somebody who's applied for something, and here's the nature of the conversation and the discussion. Here's what was discussed, here's what was said, and so forth. And I mean, that's the appropriate way to do it. So, like, we might say you need to use some discretion as to, I mean, if it's something where, somebody in 2 or 3 years is thinking of putting a building up somewhere, that's no. But if you know that somebody's working on a project, right up the street here, and they're going to build a new building or whatever, and you know that it's coming in, it's a good idea to go ahead and let. And once again, it doesn't mean that you necessarily did anything wrong. It's just you disclosing the content of that discussion. And it's not only to protect integrity, of the planning commission, it's also to protect the integrity of the planning commissioner. Because I've had times when, and I've seen it where somebody's gotten up at a public hearing and said, well, I had a conversation with this commissioner, and this is the content, this is what was said. And the commissioner's like, that's not at all what was said. And I'm looking really bad. And then once it's already said, it's hard for you as a commissioner to say, that's not what I said. It's easier for you to disclose it up front. And then if the person involved disagrees with it, they can disagree at that point in time. But you've got the first opportunity to explain what the conversation was about. It just makes things a lot easier for you as a commissioner and keeps the integrity of the, the body, just in the open. Anything you wanted to add on it? No.
Do those rules hold for other public bodies like the council, for instance?
You have to ask your attorney about that one. I just talked to planning commissions and ZBAs. It may. I don't know, because they're elected officials. I really don't know that answer. You'd have to check with your attorney on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I can look into it, but I think the rules are slightly different because they are elected officials, you guys are appointed officials, and their work is political in nature. This is supposed to be an apolitical body.
Just curiosity question.
For item C of C, has anything changed on that since the time frame when Sherry Foster was president of, I think it was the Pines? And she was, well, I know he's not, but Carmine was.
I don't know what's the item. I don't know.
Well, commission members shall state whether she believes she could be impartial considering the request of applicants before the commission. She thought she would be impartial being that she's the president of that association, and there was something to do with, I don't remember if it was a public hearing or something going on with the Pines Association, and we told her she couldn't exempt herself because she didn't have any financial gain or whatever with it.
Right. Yeah, the way state law, when you're dealing with potentially conflict of interest, the way the state law is written, the proper procedure is for the individual commissioner to announce that there could be, and even if there could be, it's a good idea to bring it up in front of the commission and say, look, I know there's at least the perception that there could be a conflict of interest here. I'm bringing it before the board so that it can, be out in the public and you can make a decision. And then the way the state law is written is the remainder of the commissioners vote on whether that person has a conflict or not. So in that particular case, you as a board said, look, just because it's a homeowners association, you have no private, or you have no financial interest in the outcome of that. So we're not going to, because what ends up happening is sometimes, not here, but sometimes you'll have a commissioner who doesn't want to be put in an awkward position and would rather just abstain and not have to deal with it when in fact they don't have a real good reason to abstain. Because sometimes when you're appointed to this body, sometimes you have to make difficult decisions that you don't like. It happens more with ZBAs than it happens with a planning commission because they have very strict, rules that they're supposed to follow. Even more so with the planning commission. They're hard rules. But the whole idea is to bring it up publicly and to eliminate any appearance of impropriety in front of the public. And that's how you do it. I may have a potential conflict of interest, or it could appear to be one. Here's what it is, and then the rest of the planning commission votes on whether there's an issue or not. That's the right way to deal with that sort of thing.
No, in all due reality, anybody that's a citizen or a business owner in this town, you can consider it a conflict of interest because everything you do is going to benefit you. Depending on who's looking at it.
Well, say directly benefit.
Yeah, you have to directly, there's going to be direct benefit from it.
Yeah, there was, one time, I think with you, Perry, there was a question on waiving the fees or something for signs.
That was for business owners in general.
Yeah.
Well, so, for something that benefits everybody in general, I don't see that as a conflict of interest personally. But if the planning commission member believed and stated that they thought it might be, that's why you have the other members to vote on it, because I don't think it is, and I think reasonable minds would see it similarly to the way I would, but I'm not a voting member.
I think that's the way it turned out.
Yeah, but this is just to simply report it and then and we decide.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
For example, if somebody's moving in, another business similar to yours is gonna move in next door, and they need a special land use review for it, you might have a conflict of interest there. And so you bring it up and and then you might have a direct financial interest in that. So, every case is a little bit different, and that's why the state law is set up for you to bring up what the issue is and let everyone else decide on it. You don't vote on it, everyone else votes on it. It clears any possible image of impropriety.
Or if somebody was to open up Perry's Place 2, somewhere on Main Street.
No, I do that, just a different time.
Franchise.
Yes.
Take that. And then I'd encourage you too to, Mr. Womack, I think it was like maybe over, in between our two meetings, send us a link to, the Michigan Municipal League had some helpful information for, planning commission members, and there's some things in there that address the conflict of interest as well, so it helps clarify that and other roles, so.
Also, while the chair brings it up, Mr. Laws did give me his book from the Planning and Zoning Basics. So I now have 2 of those books in my office. I also have the site plan review book in my office. Anyone wants to stop by and read them, please do.
And they're very plain and easy to understand. It's not like you're getting a bunch of legalese to try and read. I was impressed with how well they presented all the stuff, and very comprehensive too.
All right, so look for that on your agenda beginning next month. Right, so we do not have any old business, so, we'll go our correspondence. Becca, anything you want to, tell us about that workshop that we need to know other than what's in our packet here?
Nope, everything should be there in your packet.
Okay. And you need a response by May 4, right? Okay. Any other correspondence that you have for us?
No, not this time.
Okay. Mr. Womack, anything that you have got?
No, not at this time.
Okay. My fellow commissioners, anything that you have to share? Comments, thoughts?
No, go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity to attend the seminar. It was very helpful information.
It's gonna be a busy next couple of months in our community. We got the gala this weekend that the CBDT's got going on. The new hot dog place is supposed to be opening up Easter weekend, they said, so that should be this weekend. Then, community night is this month. That's where everybody gets to see a lot of the different business stuff going on. And then we've got, what's next? Oh, like you said, the grand opening for the library's coming up. Renaissance Festival's coming up, and I do believe the Red Flannel Festival has their halfway to Red Flannel thing coming up too. Quite a few things going on. Clock tower's up, that bridge reappeared, a lot of good things are happening in town.
Excuse me, the clock faces, somebody said that those were to be changed.
Yes.
The clock faces, aren't there ones that will
Yeah,
be
Bill
there?
Larson didn't want to put it up there being bare, so he bought the clocks and put them up there so that you could see the time and whatnot, they light up at night. So as we continue to move ahead, with things, because we're looking to put a bell on it also, it'll chime. So that's in the works yet, but Dale moves the dog on fast. We were kind of hoping to have it up before Red Flannel Day, the clock tower, and Dale got on that baby, and it's about 2.5 weeks and it was done.
He misread it and thought it was the halfway to Red Flannel thing, so he.
Dale donated the tower and G2 did the sandblasting and the painting for also as a donation. So we went from $250,000 to nothing. That's kind of nice savings.
I'd like to give kudos to him on that too.
So,
Yes, sir.
So are we in number 10?
We are 10C.
I guess, after listening to Mr. Truesdale tonight, what exactly is our city manager supposed to do for people? And I don't know if we've got an issue here or not, but I found 2 spots in the, after he read the thing about what's in our master plan for different things, I found another spot that said it in a different way, providing a broad mix of housing types downtown to accommodate people with varied incomes and in different stages of life. think in two ways in our master plan, kind of what Mr. Truesdale is presenting is in what we want to do, so I guess I don't understand what's going on here. We should be reaching out, and I don't care who the business is, get them in front of us and let us decide if we like it or if we don't like it, my opinion. Like I say, I don't know if something's going on or not going on. Could we maybe bring it up at another meeting and talk about it or something? It seems like, especially we've got a business owner who's been here for 15 years and he's got one of the nicer buildings on Main Street. I want 25 more businesses like his on Main Street. So I know we're not supposed to show favoritism or anything for anybody, we should follow everything, and I hope that's what we're doing. I think that's what we're doing, but I just don't like seeing roadblocks out there. We should be accommodating and, you know, going out to bring as many good businesses we can get in our downtown, so whatever, just something as I'm looking through here and whatever, so something worth it. So, Mr. Chairman, I cede it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
So noted, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you still work for Mr. Truesdale?
I've never worked for Mr. Truesdale, never been his employee. No.
I thought you delivered furniture for him.
I help whenever there's something that's too heavy, and it's more on a behest of Betty because of Bob's heart condition than anything else. So I donate my time to help out because I don't want to see another heart attack take one of our good citizens. So it's not an employee relationship, it's a goodwill situation. Yes.
We don't have that before us yet. So it's not a lot we can do because we don't.
No, that's why I'm just throwing it up. It just was open.
Right, I
open
understand,
discussion.
that's correct. We need like a site plan or something, we need some sort of something in front of us to be able to do anything, don't we?
Correct.
Mr. Chair.
Not this time. All right, you guys want to flip a coin on who's going to be the city council representative? I'm not making them talk, if they don't want to say it, they don't want to say it.
Joel Baker?
I'm glad for all that. After all that.
We took a tour, I think Mike,
Well, yeah, that's what I was going
I
to
think-
do.
myself and some of the council members, we took a tour through CS Manufacturing. And to see what they do there in that metal building, you don't think nothing's in there until you get in there. And it's amazing. So, and then we just approved their site plan to put an addition on. We toured that building, and we were able to see what piece of appliances or whatever they were, the fixture that would go in the new cars. And it's a double door little jobby that goes in one of the cars, and that's what they plan on to assemble there. Right now, they have to send it out of house. So this would put it back in-house and more jobs. I think as far as the council representative, Mr. Hopkins did a mighty swell job in what's going on in the city.
Thank you. Santini, anything?
Just that the library turned out very nice. The building looks really good. Nice job.
Okay, motion to adjourn. So moved. Support? All right. All in favor, aye? All opposed, no?
No.
We are adjourned.
Was it too early for you?